We are pretty optimistic. We think that the summer will bring some normality to our lives, and that we will be able to travel. Still with some restrictions, we have to really think that this is not the end of the pandemic yet, and that we have to be very careful. But for the travel and tourism industry, the summer is the restart of our business, is the restart of this sector, which has been suffering so much in the last 18 months.
Are some businesses in the tourism sectors better prepared?
We have learned a lot of lessons from last summer, 2020, where a lot of wrong things happened, and I think we all lower our guards too early, in my opinion. And now what we see is that the industry is preparing itself with a lot of protocols, but also a lot of measures put in place by local and national authorities. What we see is that the subsector of mobility, meaning aviation, ground transportation, and many others, as well as accommodation, for instance, are pretty ready to go. So they have been repeating that for weeks, if not months already, that it's pretty safe to travel. It's not the act of traveling which makes it dangerous, or it is the behavior at departure or destination. So what we see here, it's maybe that the small and medium-sized enterprise, and don't forget that the European entrepreneurship is made up to 85% of small and medium-sized enterprises. Those are the ones that still need a lot of support, help from the governments, from the European Commission, and from their own.
Are they getting that support?
They are. The support is coming now, and it's coming with a really urgency from their government, as for many countries in the European Union and beyond, also for UK. The summer is so crucial for them, to survive. I mean, we're talking about survival threat for many tourism enterprises, especially the small ones. I guess the big corporations, the big companies knew from the beginning that they had to have a new setup, and they got their own resources and also a lot of state aid, to do so. But the small and medium-sized enterprise is going to be here crucial for a real recovery of tourism.
And of course, many will have suffered very badly and will have gone to the wall probably during the summer. And Britons have a love affair with Europe and love to travel there and go to Europe in huge numbers. But also China is a big tourist market, and America. How will you persuade the Chinese and the Americans to come to Europe? And persuade them that it's safe to do so?
It is indeed going to be possible. I mean, the question in when, it's difficult to answer right now. I don't have a date, but we are pretty convinced that, long-haul markets, you mentioned two of them, US and China, will be coming back to Europe by mid or late summer. What we foresee here is actually an extended summer season. So we see a summer that's going to last practically until end of October or November, with a lot of these markets coming later in the year. The European Union has announced the digital green certificate. Some people call it a vaccination passport, but it's not a passport. And it is not
what is
a certificate
then?
Well, it is a proof of vaccination, a proof of a negative COVID test, and a proof of immunization, which is none of them is going to be a condition to enter any of the countries of the European Union. Meaning, if you're not vaccinated, you still can come to Europe, but you will be subjected to some other conditions. I think this tool is really the hope that we have.
It's the only hope, isn't it? Because, I mean, Europe is divided. Some countries are ahead of others in their vaccination programs. Greece says it's ready to receive some British tourists. Portugal, Croatia, Iceland, they're all better prepared. But there doesn't seem to be any unified tourism purpose or message to the world, come to Europe yet.
Well, I would not say they are better prepared. I would say they've been faster vaccinating their populations. The vast majority of the governments within the European Union will be ready by the beginning of the summer with 60 to 70% of their populations already been vaccinated, meaning that by the summer, we all be at the same place.
Is it fair to say the pandemic has acted as a sort of wake-up call for some European countries in terms of their over-reliance on tourism? And in fact, this is a wake-up call because they're worried about the effects of mass tourism. So, in fact, the message should be for more quality tourism.
That's very true. Let's, Stephen, one of the very uncomfortable truths about tourism is that it was a very margin revenue driven and very successful business, meaning that, and with an exponential growth that no other industry have seen in the last 3 decades. And nothing could stop this except in something like this. And we had the symptoms already of over tourism, or places really suffering from the consequences of having too many visitors and so on. Problems with local communities and visitors and so on. I think this period of pandemic time, has given us the possibility, to have a very deep reflection of what tourism should be in the future, and definitely should be not only more resilient, but it has to be much more sustainable, has to be much more digital. And I think that the act of traveling will become a less automatic process in our heads, but as something much more reflected.
And more considered, exactly. Eduardo Santander, many thanks to you for joining us on The Agenda.